greetings to you, Mrs. Anne. First of all, I want to congratulate you with International Women's Day.
Thank you, and the same to you.
Yes, thank you so much. And I know that you came to Ukraine for the first time, yes? This visit is of great symbolic importance. Why was it important for you to come in person and to transfer these military cars here in Ukraine?
As the Mayor of Oslo, I meet a lot of Ukrainian people in my city, and we're all very affected by the horrible war going on in Ukraine. The fight is a very important freedom fight, also for us in Norway and in Oslo. We also have a border against Russia. So for me as a mayor, it's important to come here and see what's going on with my own eyes, to make sure that politicians never forget, and people in Norway never forget about the war and the conflict. And it also feels good to be able to be here as a volunteer, doing a little contribution with bringing these cars to support the soldiers in the front. So I'm very proud and very, very happy to be here, and it's been a very emotional thing actually for me, meeting the soldiers and the brave people of Ukraine.
Norway has been actively supporting Ukraine since the beginning of the war. How was the decision made to transfer these cars?
Now we have this organization in Norway, Ukrainian Freedom Convoys, which is doing a big effort to fund and collect money to buy cars. And actually this was the 32nd convoy going here to Ukraine. It's been delivered 450 cars to the soldiers at the front. And we know that these cars are fundamental for the soldiers, for their safety, and we are also providing some drones and some supplies for the soldiers. And for us, we need to do everything we can to support and help, because as I said, it's our fight as well, and we know that Ukrainian soldiers are paying with their own lives and their own health for our mutual security. So coming here, supporting, it's the least thing we can do. And again, we are so proud, and it's such a fantastic fight that you are doing here in Ukraine.
Kyiv forces air raid alarms and missile attacks, and when you planned your visit, did you feel any fear or anxiety maybe? How were you preparing for this trip?
You know, it's hard to prepare for something you don't know. And actually when we were in Lviv 2 days ago, there was an alarm, so we had to go down to the shelter. And for me I was not afraid, but I was thinking about how it must be to live in a war zone, being awaked almost every night by these alarms going on, and then you have to decide, should I go down? Should I bring my children to safety? How big is the risk? Doing these calculations all the time. So I feel deeply for the Ukrainian people having to go through this almost every night. Must be really exhausting and tiring and horrible actually.
I think you have already seen Kyiv and spoken with Ukrainians. What are your impressions of capital and people? What places have you already visited?
You know, I have to say that I'm already in love with Kyiv. It's such a beautiful city, and the people here are really, really great. And I haven't had a lot of time for touring, but last night I did a little tour and visited some of your really fantastic, beautiful churches, and I saw some streets, and we had some really great food, and also a glass of Ukrainian red wine. So I have decided I really love the city. And you know, there's a long history actually between the city of Kyiv and the city of Oslo, because 1,000 years ago it was this Ukrainian princess, Elisiv. She married a Norwegian king of Oslo, Harald Hårade. So we had this Ukrainian queen in Oslo, and there's actually a statue of her in Oslo. So it's a long love story between our two cities, and it's so good to be here and get to know the city myself.
Some countries in Europe, including Poland and the Baltic states, are open about seeing Russia as a potential military threat. Are you preparing for a possible escalation by Russia, especially since Norway has a border with Russia?
Yeah, we are preparing, and we have to prepare. You know, what's the full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 4 years ago, it really sort of opened our eyes about what's going on and the threat of Russia. So, of course, we are funding our armed forces much better now. It's more money being provided to our security and our forces. So, and of course, we also have to be prepared. The population, you know, shelters. We have to have these emergency supplies in our houses, water, batteries, food, etc. So it's a lot of stuff going on in Norway as well, and yeah, we have to be prepared because this could happen to everyone, and that's also why it's so important for us to do everything we can to support the brave people of Ukraine fighting for our mutual freedom and rights.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's talk about Ukrainians who immigrated to Norway. There are more than 100,000 Ukrainians in Norway, and Oslo one is the most populated by Ukrainians. How many Ukrainians live in Oslo, and how does the city helps them with working, with studying, with housing?
I think there are approximately 6,000 Ukrainians living in Oslo now, which almost 5,000 are refugees. And I have to say that they are very, very welcome in Oslo. We are very fond of them, and we are glad to support shelter and security for them. Lots of women, children coming. We know there's a lot of fathers fighting at the front, so we're very glad to have them in Oslo, and they are a great contribution to our city. They're bringing a lot of energy and joy and happiness to our city. And we're trying to do everything we can with providing, of course, housing, making the children go to schools, sports, also, of course, making sure that we can find jobs, and also helping people to learn the Norwegian language. So it's important for us that they live good lives in Oslo, and again, we are very proud and very happy to have them there, and we consider them valuable citizens of the city of Oslo.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I know that you have been in the position of Ombudsman for children for 6 years, yes?
Yeah, that's true.
And according to the official data of Ukrainian government, since the beginning of the full-scale war, more than 20,000 Ukrainian children have been forcibly taken to the territory of Russia. And about 600 children died as a result of shelling. What is your attitude as an ombudsman about these actions by Russia in 21st century?
You know, it's unbelievable. It must be one of the worst crimes committed ever. I mean, kidnapping, stealing, killing children. You can't go lower than that. And my deepest sympathy with the families, the mothers. I myself, I'm the mother of 3 children, and you know, our children are the most dearest thing we have, and it's just heartbreaking hearing these stories about Ukrainian children being abducted. And I just want to say, bring them back, Russia, bring them back. They belong in Ukraine. They belong with their families, and I think we also have to do everything we can to support these children, because they are probably affected by quite serious traumas, being abducted. And of course, as an ombudsman, this is against every law, every convention. This should never happen. So I think it's important to get these kids back as soon as possible, and we also have to make sure that they receive every sort of help, medical help, handling their traumas, and also the families and the mothers need help, because this is one of the worst things that people can go through. So I really, really hope that the children will be returned safely as soon as possible to their mothers and their families.
Do you think the international community doing enough today to hold Russia accounted by these crimes?
No, probably they don't, and that's why we need to tell these stories, because these are real children being abducted. This is children's lives, Ukrainian children's lives at stake, and we need to do everything we can to get them back safely. And I think it's also another thing for me as a mother, an ombudsman for children, and also I'm a pediatrician, so I'm a medical doctor for children. So we also have to acknowledge that being a child in war, it's dramatic, you know. Children get traumatized, and it's so important that we talk with the children about what's going on, and that we provide medical care and psychological care, and that they get all the help they need to get through the trauma, so they don't get too damaged and can live happily and good lives, both as children and as adults later. So we must never forget about the children and the effects war has on children. That's one of the most important things we can do.
Over the years, Ukraine actually have learned how to live and work in such war conditions, to maintain the operation of infrastructure, to organize shelters, to produce their own weapons. Is there anything in Ukrainian experience that, in your opinion, could take over European countries, in particular Oslo?
Definitely, and you know, there's already a very good cooperation between our two cities, Kyiv and Oslo. We have this mutual agreement, and we are doing a lot to support each other. So in Oslo, we are trying to, of course, we are sending supplies. We have volunteers coming with cars, but we're sending like diesel aggregates and different sorts of supplies. We're also supporting some children's hospitals and seeing what else we can do. And I think also we have to learn a lot from each other. We would like to try to help with the energy supply situation, which I know is very critical here, and how we can, I know there's a project about burning garbage and turning that into energy. And it's also very important that we learn from you when it comes to security and how to be prepared for war, because we are not really there in Norway and in Oslo, and we need to learn from you. So I'm sure that we have a lot to learn from each other, both now and in the years to come, and also when the war is over. And I think it will be over soon. I really, really hope. Then we will do everything we can to help rebuild the cities and the infrastructure and everything that's been damaged. So you shall know that Oslo stands with Kyiv and the Ukrainian people. We see what's going on. We watch closely the situation, and we don't forget about you. I know there's other conflicts in the world going on now, but we never forget about what's going on in Ukraine. So we stand firmly with you and your proud, fantastic people.
Oh, it's great. And finally, I would like to ask you, how do you see the future of Ukrainian-Norwegian relations after the war?
You know, as I said, it's sort of a long love story between Oslo and Kyiv and Norway and Ukraine. And you know, we are doing as much as we can to support, but it's so little compared to what you are doing, because your soldiers and your people is actually paying with your own lives. So I think the bond between our two countries are getting stronger and stronger. And as I said, when this horrible war is over, which I hope it will be very, very soon, we must never give up. I hope there will be a lot of cooperation between our two countries. And me, personally, I would love to bring my children to this beautiful city of Kyiv. I will take them here and show them the churches and the beautiful food and the fantastic people. So I'll definitely come back, both as a volunteer, but also when the war is over, as a tourist, to get to know the city better.
We are waiting for you with your children after the war. I want to say that it was a pleasure conversation. Thank you so much. It was very meaningful.
Thank you, and I have to say again, thank you for your fantastic effort. Thank you for fighting. Thank you for never giving up. We stand with you. Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава!